Hey, sports fans, it's Larry Eder with RunBlogRun. This is our program, Socialing the Distance. Today we're featuring Erin Longin. She is the Global Director of Running, Training, and Studio. It's the Studio Business Unit at Puma. Erin, great to see you.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
You're launching a new Puma running line. There's 5 shoes. Todd Falker took us through those, and he did a great job. And I wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed the trade launch you did. You had a very enthusiastic, MC, and you both talked about the business and the product sides of Puma. Today, we're going to kind of talk about the marketing, the challenges of launching a line in the pandemic, and we're going to go from there. So you're a long-term Puma person. You've been there for, I believe, 12 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, just over 12 years. I started in 2008.
Wow, that is like 30 years in any other business, you know?
Exactly.
And you work for one of the most iconic brands. What people don't understand is, Puma has a history that goes back to the 20s. They were actually formed in 1948 by one of the Dassler brothers, who brought us in the same city, that one with the 3 stripes, and you guys. Yeah. And you have been in running, you have been in track and field, you have been in sports leisure for a long time. I seem to recall about 2013, your CEO then saying, yeah, we're getting really serious back into running and back into to soccer or European football. And I remember putting the notes down in my diary that day, because in the early 2000s, Puma had a very unique thing going. They would bring some of us publishers and editors around the world, Jamaica one time, France another time, which was really fun for me, to see your product, but also see that you were taking this long-term approach to things. And that's what I want to get across. This isn't something that you guys woke up 18 months ago and said, hey, yeah, let's get into running. This is something that you've worked on for a while. Can you shed a little bit of light on that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I love, the way you set this up. I think that it's been an interesting journey for the brand, for sure. Certainly, if you look, at our history, we've had a strong presence in many sports, right? Mm-hmm. Certainly a long history in the world of track and field that we're very proud of. Soccer, as you mentioned, another one. But definitely in around 2013, when we had new management come on board, our new leadership team said, we absolutely have to reroute ourselves in performance. Because prior to that, and the years right before that, we were kind of on this bridge of, yes, performance, but also heavy in fashion. Sure. And it's nice to have both of those elements to the brand, but at some point we need to decide what we really stand for. And he said, we're absolutely rooted in sport, back to our history and in the beginning of the brand, and that's what's most important. So it really gave all of us clarity, and you saw some great things come out of that, like the launch of our golf business, right, and the strengthening of Puma Golf. And Puma entering that space, which was quite traditional in the past, and really sort of shaking that market up, in a great, still high performance world, that we came in and did it a little differently. And then just recently we, got serious about the basketball world and really invested heavily there in terms of athletes and marketing and product investment. And I think made a splash as a brand in that space. And the one that's always been on our radar is running. Mm-hmm. And, we've always made running product. There's been an offering in the line throughout, many, many years. But as a brand, we hadn't seriously committed to, becoming a really well-known brand in the space of especially road running and distance running. So I think we were always looking for the right time as a brand. And since 2013, luckily, we've experienced many years of growth, and, our brand becoming more well-known in the market, having really great momentum around the Puma brand. And we really felt the time was right, in around 2021 to bring a strong running point of view to market. But of course, we didn't just start that right now. So we made that decision a few years ago. And I sometimes pinch myself because I'm like, oh God, we're actually in 21 now. Like this is the year we've been targeting. And
Yeah,
honestly, this is the week. This is the week that we're launching. So, but to your point, it's been many years of planning this. It started first and foremost with a ton of research on technology and innovation. Todd may have mentioned this, but we threw out everything that we had and started completely from scratch because we said, if we're going to do this, we have to bring the best product. We can bring a lot of fun marketing, but unless we have great product,
agreed.
it's never going to work in the world of running. And, that's how we started. And it took a long time of development with our innovation team, with our factory partners. We have our own chemists working on it. We also took a humble approach, to be honest. We have a lot of internal expertise, but we felt like we needed to learn from the best in the industry. So we hired biomechanical experts. We worked with universities and really tried to gather the best knowledge and minds to help us, shape where we needed to be. And luckily, we had the strength of the Puma brand behind us and the funding and the investment of a large brand to get some of that done. So obviously that helps and that's nice. But it really was a long time, of creating the right products and technologies, to get us to where we are now for the launch.
Yeah, you use some people I know at the University of Chemnitz in
Yes.
Germany.
Yeah.
And then Puma does take a long-term approach to everything. Many of my clients are European,
Mhm.
and the biggest thing I had to learn was patience. And a lot. It took 5, 6 years to develop a relationship. And I remember a couple of good friends who still are friends saying, Larry, sometimes as an American, you want stuff like that.
Yeah.
Good things take time. And that's been the challenge. I remember your Trail Fox shoe about 2008,
Yeah.
which we gave huge awards at the Running Network. We thought that, you had some product that was graphically pleasing. I mean, I
Yeah.
think Puma's always done that. There were some good shoes with it. But you also had some challenges. I remember Herb Elliott being the president, the famous runner who actually went undefeated in Puma shoes back in the early '60s. And Herb had told me back in the '90s when he was president that, hey, look, changing a brand and changing an approach is really a big deal. And Joachim Zeitz, your next CEO, who really did some, I think he was one of the first CEOs to put money where his mouth was and get
Yeah.
into some really cool nonprofit and social things. And he did it when it wasn't popular. And that's what I always kind of respected about him. But so you take all those things, and now you guys have got, I think, 5 really good looking shoes. We're looking forward to wear testing them.
Right.
The biggest challenge I see for you right now is communication and getting support from running retail. They need you. They're never going to admit it. Running stores don't like that. A guy at Marathon Sports, or one of them, they're never going to admit, oh, we've got enough on the walls. But a good friend in Santa Clara County, a guy named Gary Gettleman, who's been a shoe geek for about 45 years, I asked him what determines what goes on your wall, and he just looked at me dumbfounded, and he said, "What helps me pay the bills."
Of course.
And so to get Puma on a wall of an established store has to be communication, and you're not doing it overnight. And your team better be ready for a little bit of rejection. How are you approaching running retail right now?
Yeah, I mean, this is another thing that, has been years in the making. We set out on this journey and knew that we couldn't do this alone and that we needed to, work directly with some key partners, in running retail. And we needed to run things by them and sound things off of them and show early prototypes that were rough and let them tell us everything that's wrong.
Yeah.
And, even some of our marketing messaging, we started out with maybe some more extreme positionings and certain markets gave us feedback like, that doesn't quite resonate here, or think about this. And, I think what we've done, I'm really proud of. I think our team, Todd included, who you met, work directly with a lot of the key retailers, a lot of the leading run specialty retailers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a select list for us because we also wanted to build these relationships and do them justice, like
Sure.
keep the communication there. So we didn't go too broad.
Mm-hmm.
We really kept it to a strategic list of partners, and they've been on this whole journey with us. They also have a peek under the curtain into the future, and they know
Sure.
what's coming. And that helps them understand that this is a commitment for us. This is not a season or a year or even a couple of years. The brand is very invested. So I think that gives them the confidence, obviously, to invest on their side.
Mm-hmm.
So, we really did start small, not only with the partners to help us create the launch of Run Puma, but even the retailers where the products are available right now in the market. We started
Mm-hmm.
small because we wanted to be able to, kind of control it and make sure that we didn't go too wide to a point where we can't service, the retailers. We can't show up with the right content, trainings, marketings, tech reps, like all that it's going to take to get this going. So we really did start with a strategic list of partners for the launch.
When you started to look and see who you would target for Puma running shoes,
Mm-hmm.
the way I understand it is you kind of break it into two groups: people who are already committed to running, it's part of their life, part of their
Yep.
DNA. And then you also looked at people who were asking those questions about, I've been out of school for a few years, and I really liked running,
Yeah.
and I don't like it that my, waist has gone from 32 to 37,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to exercise again. How did you guys go about that? Did you do study groups? Was it a lot of social media? Um, is
Yeah.
it a combination of things?
It was a combination of things. I mean, we tried to get insights wherever we could. So, pulling focus groups together, doing our own research, own consumer research, surveys, social media kind of immersions. We also have a lot of running expertise and people really dedicated to that space on the team. And honestly, we talk to a lot of our retailers too, because our retailers, especially when you start talking to the store staff, they're interacting with runners every day. So we would hear a lot and learn a lot about the people looking for running product and what type of runner are they. And I think we started with two really general buckets. We talked about what we call the devoted runner. So somebody who would say, I am a runner, and it's been part of their identity in their life for a long time. And then we identified what we called next gen runner, next generation runner. And we think that group, while they may skew younger, obviously you could pick it up at any age.
Sure.
But is this time in your life where, you may shift to running to pick it up as your primary exercise because it's fast. You can do it on your own time. It's, something that is free. You're not locked into a schedule. And a lot of people we're seeing start to pick that up, maybe in their late 20s when they're in a full-time job or they have a family and like running becomes their, way of getting a workout in. So, we really felt as a brand, it was important that we bring a product collection and a marketing story that can appeal to both. We want both, right? We want both to love Puma.
Sure.
But we also thought we might have even an easier time first relating to the next generation runner, people getting into it, people aware of the Puma brand already and interested in what we're doing, and some of the things that we stand for and we're talking about may really resonate, with that consumer as well. And I think for some of the run specialty stores out there, that was enticing, right? They want to get the new runner. They want to get the younger runner. They want to get the female runner. And we think as a brand also, we've tended to really connect with female consumers in the rest of our business, So we thought this was something that's important to us as a brand and something we could also bring to running.
You have never had a problem in the sports apparel business. I mean, I've got product of yours that goes back to the 70s. football pants, and things like that. But it's and again, the quality of that product is really good, and the quality of the shoes was never an issue. A lot of it was communicating, and at the time, being a German brand
Sure.
was a challenge in being in the U.S. market.
Mhm.
We're a global village now, especially with the platforms we have, everything from global TV to social media. How are you, without divulging any
Yep.
secrets or proprietary things, how are you juggling those paradigms that communicate with the next generation, but also then to communicate with an older generation who, while they use social media, they use it much differently than the next gen.
Yep.
They also utilize print. And then you have different parts of the world, like in Europe, I think they have a much healthier approach between print and social and audio. And it's a wonderful combination. Over here, we've kind of thrown everything out and we're with social.
Sure.
And now people are kind of going, am I a little too close to social? So how do you juggle that?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the running consumer and the broad kind of demographic we knew we wanted to target, we have a really multifaceted, marketing strategy to be able to reach the different consumers. Absolutely, social media is one of the priorities because it has to be,
Sure.
right? And we do believe that younger people are running more, and that's a great way to connect to them. So we have just launched our @Puma running handle on Instagram, and we have a really robust social media strategy. I think what I'm most proud of with that strategy is it's all about building a community. It's
Okay.
not about, having perfectly shiny advertisements that just keep hitting people. Like that isn't
Yeah.
our goal there. It's to really actually engage with runners, get feedback from runners, seed the people that follow us with products, and really start to create a dialogue around running. We actually kept the handle private up until this week and had hundreds of followers that we were sending product to and learning from. And, that's what
Cool.
we've been doing for the last few months, which I think is a really fun approach. So, we think that social aspect, super important. There's no question. But, some of the more, established media outlets like A Runner's World that I know you were a part of, they're still important. They're very influential. We
Sure.
just
Sure.
saw the March edition of Runner's World, and we're highlighted there. We're so
You did
excited to
very
see
well, and
print.
that's a hard thing to get into. I was pleasantly surprised,
Yeah,
knowing the folks that do that and the level uh, of really checking you out and
yeah,
taking those shoes apart. I mean, it's like you're going through something forensically.
yeah.
So you did quite well. It should give you what is how are you identified on Instagram now? What is the
Our
new
handle is @Puma Running.
at Puma? Cool. All right.
Yeah, and we definitely encourage all of your listeners to join.
We will
There's
get that up.
a lot of cool stuff going on there for sure.
Do you have what are you doing on Twitter? Is there a handle on
I
Twitter?
don't know if there is. There must be, but I can send that info to you as well.
That
So
would
you
be
can find
fantastic.
out
Yeah,
all
because
of the
we'd love to put that out.
great.
There is there's a guy named Marshall McLuhan who is a long-term kind of seer in the future on media.
Yeah.
And I had him shoved down my throat back in the 70s. And one of his lines was the medium is the message. And I want to go to some of the athletes that you're talking to because it looks to me like there's a very conscious decision
Mhm.
to reach certain people because
Absolutely.
of their relationships. The first one is obviously Molly Seidel, who I just think is wonderful. And a little bit behind the story that I know is that Molly wanted a brand that she could communicate with, that it was a
Yes.
two-way communication. And I had heard about this a while back, and we just kind of go, because it'd be interesting to see where she lands. And she landed with you. And her comments on the product are very relaxed. They're not rehearsed.
Mhm.
I deal with that every day. Get about 90 messages like that a day, and our brains kind of pull back and a little bit and kind of go, yeah, you know what? Just give us some real stuff, And
What do you really think? Yeah.
and that's what you were talking about, which I really like about building a community, which is really cool because there's going to be people, there's going to be days that everybody loves you, and there's going to be days and then not everybody loves you, and you've got to deal with that. Why did you pick Molly Seidel?
Yeah, Molly, was on our radar for quite some time. And, as somebody like, oh, we would just love the chance to work with her. We had our first meeting with her, toward the end of last year when she was looking, for her next partnership. She's based right in Cambridge, so right near us. We're in Boston. And she came to our office, and, you never know. You never know if the personalities are going to gel. We had been following her. It seemed like it'd be a good fit. And she met with me, she met with Todd, she met with some of the other key people on the team. And we had the most fun time. I mean, she is incredibly relaxed, and approachable. She's smart. She knows what she wants. She seemed just genuinely excited about what we were offering. And really what we were offering was a complete partnership. We want to learn from her and create products for her and tell stories that she wants to tell and elevate causes and things that are important to her. And, she wants to be with a brand, she communicated, for a long term, and really feel part of a family. And, we have a great history of having that type of relationship with our athletes. And she is a total undercover, shoe nerd. She and Todd could talk shoes and tech and pulling products apart and looking at all the pieces all day long. And when I hear her, in different interviews she's done, talk about our shoes, she knows every bit of technology, why it's in there, how it performs. I'm like, if she ever wants to stop, doing distance running, she should definitely come and be a product manager because that girl knows her stuff and she loves it. But she's just, she embodies that Puma spirit. She has a fun personality. She doesn't take things too serious, even though she is an incredibly serious athlete.
Sure.
We think she can really connect to consumers, even though most people can't run like she does.
Yeah.
People can all run a marathon, right? So she can get out there and connect to people. She's a great advocate for women. She does a lot of work with an organization in Ethiopia, getting girls running as a way to improve their lives. So we were just so impressed by her. I remember that meeting and that day ending, it went way over the time we had planned. And I remember thinking how disappointed I'd be if she didn't choose Puma. I was like, that went so well. She's got to pick us, And she did. We heard really soon after she was in. And then she ran her first race in Las Vegas in Puma in
that half marathon.
That half, and beat her own record. Achieved a new PR with us all watching, and we're like, yes, what a great start! And then she did it again this past weekend. She ran in Atlanta in that humid condition, which she wasn't
on the speedway. Yeah,
it looked like a prison or something. I'm like, where is she running? But she, again, a new personal record, in really tough conditions. She's out training in Flagstaff where it's so dry. Yeah. And then to go to Atlanta where you see the air just, soaked with humidity and the wet ground. And we're all like, oh no. She's still amazing win for her. So we're really excited to see what's next for Molly for sure. And we're here to support her and cheer her on.
You've picked some other interesting athletes, I believe. Asia Prout-Lear, who I think is fantastic. And she was the Commonwealth gold medalist in the steeplechase. You also have on the track side, Sandy Morris, who I have to keep track of our Twitter and social media following every day. And Sandy Morris is one of those people that I think is a perfect fit for you guys, again, because she's got people, she talks about everything. She's an athlete, but she has other parts of her life. And then you've got Renaud Villeneuve, the former world record holder in the pole vault, and one of your compatriots in Europe, Pascal Rolling. You've picked up a huge group, and I've known Pascal for 30 years.
Do you know Pascal? He's been very, very busy. He has a lot of signings.
He's the guy who convinced Usain Bolt at 18 that he didn't want to take more money from several other brands, and he wanted to come to Puma. And all the guys in the biz give him credit for that. So when he started picking people up, I reached out to him, and then he shared with me a little bit about what you guys are up to. But I think you're doing a lot of good things. I want to get into managing a running business and launching a new product in the pandemic, because I believe that's when did you know that this pandemic was real? When did it hit you?
I mean, it wasn't hard enough, to come up with a plan to get into running and build toward that. I think, honestly, I would say, it was a year ago that obviously things started to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I remember them saying they were going to close our office for 2 weeks. And I remember thinking, 2 weeks? Are they crazy? We have so much going on. And 2 weeks turned into, obviously much longer than any of us could have imagined. I think it was really last summer that it settled in for me that this is here to stay for a while, and that this is something that we have to really plan around now, right? Originally, of course, for this year, we had a lot of ideas around races and events and activations and things that would be in person with runners to bring all of this to life. So we had to really shift and pivot, and then we had the idea of virtual races and things, but there's some fatigue around some of that, I think. So we're trying to be mindful of that, but still find ways to connect, to the runner, of course, and the people that are running. So we will have some interesting stuff coming either way. And we certainly have our eye, on races and events as soon as those can start up again. But I do also think, if there's any good that's come out of the pandemic, one of those things would be that there is a definite trend around more people getting out, walking, running, moving, in the outdoors a lot. I've always been running on the streets of my hometown, but I see double or triple the amount of people when I go out now,
Mm-hmm.
And they're not all serious runners, and that's okay. You see just people jogging, moving. So it's definitely maybe put a spotlight on people's health and wellness, or maybe people are just going stir crazy and need to get out. It could be all of the above.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it's a combination. I equate it to what many of us felt like after 9/11, was that there was very little that we could control, and that getting out for a daily walk, getting out for a run was sanity, and
we're lucky to be able to do that. So,
we were sharing beforehand, you're a mother of 3, and you work at home sometimes, and obviously that's a challenge. And I just recall when my guy was little, he's my business partner now, but I used to take the baby jogger out every day, get him in it for an hour and a half, and it was the only quiet that I had, because we'd be out in the woods, and I started running 15, 18 miles a day, because it was just like, wow. And we both enjoyed it. It was time for both of us. And I think you're seeing now people with the pandemic slowing down, cooking more at home, a little more cognizant of things, and running is going crazy. I mean, if a brand is committed to running, there's a lot of brands, they go through that whole cyclical thing. The brands that are committed to running are doing exceptionally well in very trying times. Puma has the infrastructure to do it right. They have the long-term approach to do it right. Has it been hard convincing the retail community that Puma is serious and that Puma is taking a long-term approach?
I mean, I think at first when we started the conversations, sure, there was a lot of questions around that, skepticism, but that was probably one of our major, goals was to really show, not just say it, but show it, right? We had to really show the long-term plan. We worked to give our retail partners a look at the future. We're not, obviously there's some proprietary stuff we don't want to share yet, but a real idea of what's coming, what the life cycle plan is behind the products, the support that they'll have from the brand. That was all a part of it, and it had to be. Otherwise, it would have been hard to convince people that we're serious for the long haul. So, yeah, that was a major goal.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to put you in a virtual room, and you've got 200 runners in front of you. They know Puma's name.
Okay.
About a third of them have tried Puma.
Yep.
Most of them still they buy some stuff online. In non-pandemic times, they were running retail because of that sense of community. Why should they try Puma?
Yeah, great question. We get this a lot. They should try Puma first and foremost for the product. So, we believe that we have built an exceptional line of product. We started from scratch on every bit of it. Every element that is in, the footwear is completely new, innovative technology, down to even the rubber that we're using on our shoes. People are raving about because we spent so long getting the formula just right for the optimal traction. So, we really just want people to try the product. So first and foremost, I would say that the product is built with the idea and the ethos of effortless run. And the product is built to really enhance your running experience and add to it, make it a little bit easier for you. It's light, it's responsive, it's comfortable. It's all of those things you need to achieve whatever your running goal is. If it's just, a quick short run, it's there for you. If you're training for something, we have products for that. So, I think our focus on making the best products is absolutely number one. If I were speaking to the female runners in the crowd, I would say as a brand, we are focused on the female runner. We had the chance to really analyze the running market, analyze the consumers, and more women are running than ever before. More women are registering for races than men, as of 2019. And, most of us know how shoes have been traditionally built, and they're built first and foremost for a male foot shape, right?
Oh yeah.
And we know, we've been in this game for a long time, and then they're sized down for women, and in the industry in general, it's been an afterthought. And we had the chance to kind of start from scratch as we did this, and we said, we're going to do things differently. We are going to build our products for the shape of a female foot. For women, obviously, we also have male shape, but we, really look at the differences in the female foot shape. We're going to test products on women from the start. So we always open all of our products, even initially, when it's prototyping in, a woman's sample size instead of only testing on men, which is something that's quite common in the past. So, really looking at female needs up front. We have even more plans in the future to further cater products to women and female needs. So this is really just the beginning. I would say also to the female runners that, we're looking at other ways outside of just product to really empower, female runners and just sort of fight for gender equity in the sport in general. So you will see a lot of our athlete signings really focusing on females.
Cool.
And supporting and representing female runners. And that's really just a piece of what we're doing in that space. But I think, hopefully the women out there will see it as a real authentic approach, for the female.
You've survived almost 37 minutes with me, so you've done really well. You're still smiling and you haven't thrown anything at the screen, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
There's a couple questions I wanted to check on.
Yeah.
Pascal had said that Puma USA, you guys are helping develop a running club in the U.S. with, is it
Yes.
Alistair Craig?
Yes, with Alistair Craig. Yep, it's been great. Pascal, has been a huge support in this. So we're going to have a team in North Carolina. Alistair Craig will be the coach, and we've got a couple of great athletes already signed on, which we're really excited about. We will be looking to pick up more athletes. The idea here is, post NCAA, really supporting the athletes coming out of school, ready to begin their professional journey. So we're really excited about that.
Awesome. Yeah, Alistair's a great guy. I knew him when he was at Arkansas, and we always had very thoughtful chats. I was so happy to see him get into coaching. I mean, he had been doing it, obviously, with helping with his wife and things like that. So you picked somebody really cool. When will you announce some of the club members? Is that going to come up soon? Or are we going to hear a little bit about that, or next couple months?
Yeah, I think there's 3 now already that I can talk about. So, joining our team in North Carolina right now, we have Taylor Werner, Fiona O'Keefe, and Stephen Fahey.
Okay.
Yep. So that's the start. And we are looking to really, sign more athletes as they kind of are ending their, school this year. So you can look for more from us in probably around June timeframe.
Cool.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Erin, you did a great job today. Thank you very much. I like it when people love what they do, and that comes across, and you've championed your brand. Looking forward to seeing the new product, and then perhaps we can talk to you again.
Now, we would love that. Thank you.
You have your launch, your global launch was the 3rd, and the US is the 9th, or is it around that time?
Yeah, so the global launch was the 4th. We had a couple COVID-related shipping things go on in the US. So, I mean, I'm sure to get an Amazon package or anything, it takes long.
Yeah.
So we just pushed it a few days. The 9th will be the big moment. We did soft launch a bit on the 4th in the US when stores were ready, but the 9th will be the larger date in the US. Yeah.
And if we wanted to see a little bit more about the shoes, where would we go? Is it pumarunning.com?
Definitely go to, you can check out our Instagram handle for more of that community communication. But if you want to see the product, go to puma.com. Especially Monday, if you're in the US, we'll really be launching the live website, which we're really proud of how it came out. I think there's a lot of really great tech information on there, and it's really beautifully represented.
Cool. And then let me see. I think I had one more. One of the other things I really liked, I wanted to make a comment on it, is the DVA Nitro. You haven't your shoes are geeky, okay? So there's enough geeky stuff there. I mean, I love the piece that really kind of controls, but maybe suggests the pronation, supination. I think that's huge. But I also admire that someone in a running store who's got 2 minutes can explain, well, they've got their own midsole, and they're developing this kind of a thing, and this is what this is what the Nitro is about. I like the graphics on the shoes. You've always been good with things like that, but the communication of those things now is even more important. And then the biggest thing of all, which is someone at another brand once said to me, to do a great running line isn't a big thing. You got to make killer shoes one after the other.
It's true.
And it's true. And you guys have the infrastructure and the technology. And as you suggested something that I wanted to bring up, and it'll be the last thing. You talk about having your own manufacturing situations. Anybody who knows running shoes, it used to be in the old days that you'd have 6 brands in one place, and it would beg the question, well, what's different about things? And it's not that you don't use the same plant as someone else, but it's a philosophy and a structure, but also that manufacturing place's focus. Are they going to do your shoes right? So I think you're doing all the right things. I'm really excited to see your product, and thank you again for taking some time on a Friday when I know you're beat and you've been launching stuff for. My guess is during a launch you don't sleep much, and You know,
especially with the launches happening around the world and people sending me updates, it's hard to, put the phone down.
Well, thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.
We just spoke with Erin Longin. She's the Global Director of Running, Training, and Studio in the business unit at Puma. And this is Larry Eder with Socialing the Distance. Erin, thank you again. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Hey, sports fans, this is Larry Eder. And this is your favorite program, Socialing the Distance. This week on RunBlogRun, we featured Erin Longin. And Erin is the Global Director of Running, Training, and Studio business units at Puma. And we were talking with her about the care and feeding and marketing of a new product launch, which is the running business, not only globally, but in North America. The global launch was the 4th of March, and the U.S. launch is the 9th of March. 5 new shoes, quite impressive, showed some thought, but also Puma's always had an attention to graphic detail, been quite good. They have a knowledge of apparel, quite good. They went back to the drawing board and didn't copy anybody's shoes, developed a midsole that is their own proprietary, developed some structure that controls pronation and supination, not too much, but just the amount that a runner may need, and gave us 5 variations, which I think makes a lot of sense. The 3 of the 4 shoes have the same uppers. I love their uppers. I love the way the Puma stripe works. Everybody loves the Puma on there as well. But what we spent our time talking about was the care and development of retailers, the data mining and the care and development of the consumer, identifying who is your consumer, and how do you launch all this in a pandemic when it's hard to get Amazon to deliver in places sometimes, when it's hard to get a pizza sometimes, when it's hard to go to the store sometimes. Those are all the challenges, and they've been planning on this, very European company. My guess is in the last 5 to 6 years. 2021 was always their launch, and they're staying with it, and they were going to launch it at the beginning of March. Erin's quite confident. She's been at Puma for 12 years, which in human times, add 10 years for every year at a footwear brand, because it's tough. It's tough work. It's not an 8 to 5 job. If you want an 8 to 5 job, McDonald's. Do not go into the running business. And I've said this before. If I went brand to brand and I was going to launch my own super footwear brand, I'd pick people from almost all the brands. The best people in the world managing the 48 brands that I know of could fit into a small classroom. And I think Erin could be one of them. She's articulate. She's thoughtful. She has the experience of a woman runner, a business professional. And she works with a company based out of Germany. There's a certain culture and focus on European companies. I like it. I think the thoughtfulness, the approach to detail, the long-term planning makes a ton of sense. In America, we want things way too quick, and it gets us into a lot of trouble. So we spent 45 minutes discussing those things. We also talked about talking to retailers and bringing them in and investing in them and knowing that they're going to say difficult things to you, which is what friends who really care about you do from the beginning. So to know that there was footwear retailers involved in the development of the shoes makes sense to me. For Erin to get past some of the previous history, and Puma has a long history. Okay, let's go to the food chain. Reebok, 1892, 1896. Adi and Puma and Onitsuka Tiger, 1948. Mizuno, around the same time in terms of their footwear. Nike, 1972. Some of the other brands a bit later. The challenges are big, but a company like Puma has the infrastructure, the life experience, and the culture to pull something like this off. And it is no mean feat. launching a whole new brand in a pandemic time and an economic downturn is either really foolish or incredibly bright. I tend to think that they're pretty dang bright. I have business associates who've only launched businesses in economic downturns. They say they do that because their clients think that they must be really serious about it. The banks and sponsors support them because they know they've got to put everything into it, including sweat equity. So it makes a lot of sense. So watching what Puma's doing is very exciting to me. We talked to Todd Falker the other day. He's the product line manager. Really articulate young man. Has run the JFK 50 miler, so he's got my respect. But he's a shoe geek. He talks about the shoes. But you need shoe geeks in a running brand, but you also need the people to protect the shoe geeks and make the decisions, the tough decisions. And Erin is one of those. And she was a lot of fun to talk to. And I think that as a retailer, as a coach, a runner, as a consumer, as a media geek, you're going to find her comments interesting. The couple things that I wanted to bring up are athletes like Molly Seidel and Aisha Prout-Lear. I think they make a lot of sense for Puma, and Puma courted Molly Seidel. Sponsoring an athlete is a courtship if you do it right. And some athletes want the safety of being with the big brand. Some want to be the safety with a big brand starting something new. Someone want to be with a small brand and being a big fish in a small pond. It depends on what you need. But what Puma's done recently, not only in North America, but across the world, they picked up 24 athletes in France, including Renaud Villeneuve and Pascal Martineau-Lagarde. They've picked up Sandy Morris in the U.S., the top American woman pole vaulter. They've picked up Omar McLeod, the Olympic and world champion at the 110 hurdles. They picked up some tremendous athletes in track and field. They're also doing it in road running, starting a club down in the Carolinas. And with Alistair Craig as the coach, they picked up 3 athletes, and they'll be picking up more. They're making a long-term investment in running, which is something we haven't seen them do since Coach Riggs back in the late 1970s, early 1980s. It's been that long. People my age will remember the Puma 9190 back in 1975 and 76. They had some decent shoes in the 90s. Mark Nanow ran in them. And I remember running in Puma spikes in the late 80s and some Puma training shoes at the time. Remember talking with Herb Elliott around the turn of the century when he was the president for a while, and then Joachim Zeitz, who really shook Puma up. The current CEO, I think, gets it, and putting people in place and giving them the room, like giving Erin Longin the room to make some decisions, shows that Puma's taking a long-term approach. We're looking forward to seeing these shoes this next week or so. We'll keep you updated there, and we're going to invite Erin and Todd back. But this is Larry Eder with RunBlogRun. This is your favorite program, Socialing the Distance. We featured Erin Longin today, who is the Global Director of Running, Training, and Studio Business Units at Puma. Thank you for checking us out. This is the epilogue. If you like RunBlogRun, and why wouldn't you? Like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's how we get paid. It's all the eyeballs. And get some of your friends to do it too. If you love us, subscribe on the YouTube. We have 369 videos from 2020, and we have 2,500 videos and audios. Yeah, I just did it before there were talking pictures from 2010 on. And there's something for everybody. Check it out. Okay? We're also on SoundCloud too. But this is Larry Eder. Stay safe. If you're outdoors, dress appropriately. Take a mask in case you can't be 6 feet away. For indoors, please, even in Mississippi and Texas, especially in Mississippi and Texas, wear a mask. It's not about you just getting sick. It's about getting other people sick. Be a patriot and be a good human and care about others. Okay? That's our thought for the day. Talk to you soon.